please join me in welcoming Dr. Cooper.
Thank you, President Merlo, for having me today, Drexel Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and all of you. What an honor it is to be here sitting in this stadium, the same stadium I sat in 18 years ago, the very same year that Brad Lidge led the Phillies to a World Series championship. During his race to the pennant, he was dubbed the perfect closer. The perfect closer, for those who may not know, or a closer, the job, is to come when the game is really close at the final inning and to secure that win. Out of all 48 opportunities that Lidge had to close the Phillies game, he closed every single one and struck out the opposing player, every time, including the final game where the Phillies won the World Series. When he successfully closed the game, all of the fans, except myself, poured out into the streets on Broad Street and did a lot of celebrating, to include climbing the poles. And they did it so much so that the next year, in 2009, when we were up for the World Series championship again, the Crisco police came out and they covered the poles with a grease-like Crisco substance. That was the first time that technique was ever used, and it came in handy, like in 2018 when the Eagles won their championship. That year, the 2008 and 2009 Phillies and the fans taught me a great lesson in determination and resilience. But no matter what sport you're into, whether it's the race to the pennant or a race to turn in your essays on Canvas, everyone today has participated in some sort of race. In fact, your very existence today proves that you have won at least one race in your life. Congratulations. That moment when you cross this threshold that indicates that all of your work, all of that hard work is now over, that is called the finish line. And today, I want to talk to you about the power of a finish line. To get to this very moment, you all have been on the grind for years and years. Late night study sessions, group projects that begin as chaos and somehow turns into something very beautiful that you and your classmates are very proud of. I couldn't help but to remind myself to Drexel and my times trying to spend as little money as possible while getting the most out of the city. I would use my Dragon card to take shuttles for free, to get discounted tickets at sports games, and discounted tickets at the Wilma Theater. Now, if anyone in this audience works for the CIA or FBI or NSA, please hire whoever is in charge of the Wilma Theater advertisement department, because I have moved 7 times since I graduated, and I still get the Wilma Theater flyers in my mailbox. And of course, I have many fond memories at the New Deck Tavern when I had a thirst for more than knowledge, when the legend Paul Kelly made sure that our thirst was always quenched. Most of all, I remember the multicultural experiences on this campus, that exposed me to rich and vibrant cultures presented by various student organizations who I'm sure are here today. In my day, the event of the year was the annual Diwali Lights Festival at the main building, hosted by Disha and Pragati. Now, I hear that there's a K-pop World Festival competition, a Hispanic Heritage Month Festival, and the Drexel Mediterranean Ensemble, among many other groups. Yes, they're here. Yeah. That open invitation to celebrate with anyone and everyone, that swirl of colorful tapestries during the dance performances, and the emotions of connection with different cultures, That is what stays with me to this day, and it's very unique to Drexel. I am thankful for the access that Drexel provided. I was able to meet a real-life astronaut and alumnus, Chris Ferguson, who took the time to talk to each student and shake our hands. I cherish how top companies came back and judged at our poster research day that allowed us to have direct connection to companies that could possibly hire us in the future. There are so many memories that are always my touch points back to this great institution. And I know you all have banked your memories that will keep you connected to Drexel. But who we are today, right now, is created and shaped by many things. We are an aggregate of our experiences. Before Drexel, I learned a lot of experiences through my home life and through my childhood. People assume that I have everything together because of where I work and what I do, but let me clear that up for you. I was not a child prodigy, I was not a math whiz, and in fact, I took remedial classes in reading and in math. My childhood family dynamics were complicated, and science was distant and abstract, not something that shouts, future scientist. I didn't understand the why behind why I should care about science until years later, after my father passed away. I was about 12 years old. I went to the public library and rented the first VHS of Carl Sagan's The Cosmos. Now I have to pause here and explain what a VHS is. It is a primitive brick of plastic that us cave people use to record footage on a strip of magnetic tape that we could review as much as we want, and God forbid we didn't review this magnetic tape or rewind the magnetic tape, we would get dinged with extra fees. Anyway, in that VHS tape, he discusses the concept of a cosmic calendar, and that is the entire existence of our universe, 13.8 billion years, compressed onto one 12-month calendar year. The Big Bang would be on January 1st, and where we are today would be the stroke of midnight on December 31st. Now, imagining that calendar in your mind's eye and seeing that the first forms of life show up around the end of September, that's microbes. Okay, so the microbes show up at the end of September. Where do you think humans show up on this cosmic calendar? 8 minutes before midnight on December 31st. Let that sink in. Out of the entire space of that entire calendar, humans show up only 8 minutes before the ball drop. That changed my life. It gave me perspective. It showed me that while my life was significant and what I was going through was significant, that I'm part of a bigger space and things are bigger than my own circumstances. My existence was part of a grander universe, and there was a place for me, and there's a place for you too. At that moment, I had my why I wanted to do what I'm doing today. And I just wanted to be like Carl Sagan. I became impatient, I took extra courses during the summer, and I applied to college when I was 15. And that was the first lesson that I had in failure. After I got my rejection letter from college, I took the time to really understand that what I and what we do with the no's that we hear is what will truly shape our future successes. After dusting myself off and reading the rejection letter one more time, I saw the path to a yes. I didn't have high enough SAT scores, and I didn't have the right prerequisites to start. So there, that was my path, and I knew how to change that no to a yes. So the next year, I applied again, and I got in, and that kicked off my research start. During the school years, I worked at the school. During the summers, I worked at NASA Langley as a co-op. And that is where I fell in love with plasma physics, which led to my PhD studies here at Drexel. And shout out to Alex Friedman, Professor Friedman. He was my mentor at the time, an advisor. And that experience is what I gratefully carry to this day. I was awarded a NASA fellowship that supported my education and allowed me to build a connection with scientists that had freezers filled with the most extreme microbes you can find on our planet. Microbes that we found high up in the stratosphere, and microbes that could withstand more radiation than humans before it died. My job today, while not being exactly like Carl Sagan, is in planetary protection, protecting the planets that we're trying to explore so that we can search for signs of life in the universe. So while it's not the same, it's close enough. Now, I have to tell you the truth. This power of a finish line that I'm trying to talk to you about, it's a trick. It's a trick based on the central governor theory. Your brain acts as a central governor, which triggers a feeling of exhaustion in your muscles long before they fail to protect your body from overexertion. However, as soon as your eyes see a finish line, your brain quickly recalculates, lifting those safety brakes and allowing you to use that extra energy that it was hiding from you. Because just right there, in a few steps, is rest. This tactic may also feel familiar if you go to gym classes where the trainer counts down and they're like, 10 more seconds, give me all that you got. Tricking your brain to lift its perceived physical limitations for that final push. But after they count you down, they give you yet another set of exercises. You feel like it's finally time to rest, but surprise, that particular race is over, but you're transitioning into something new. Turn to your neighbor and tell them, we're only just beginning. I remember working on the Mars 2020 mission for 7 years of my life, sampling piece parts and scaffolds of structures that took shape over time, forming something recognizable, the rover, the helicopter. These parts were built and tested, stacked on a rover, and pushed out to the launch pad, culminating to launch day. T-minus 3, 2, 1, and we have liftoff. I was so proud to reach that finish line as a single tear streamed down my face. We just had just enough thrust to cross over that finish line. And that rocket had just enough inertia, enough momentum to overcome inertia. And to be honest, I was quietly talking to myself as the rocket was going up. Go, 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 get off the ground. Because my finish line would not be crossed until I saw that bright light fade from my eyes. But when I turned to my colleague, excited to cross that finish line, she quickly reminded me, Moo, we're just beginning. We have to get to Mars. We had given our all, we lifted the emergency brakes, we pushed ourselves over the line, only to learn that this is in fact just the start of another race. So as you experience the crossing of a major finish line, first of all, we should stop and really celebrate you. The years upon years that you got to where you are today. I would also like to thank your brain, which persevered and protected your vessel up until this point and allowed itself to trick your body to see these finish lines and do this one final push to get you here. But now what? You will face many challenges that you will see coming. We can all guess what that looks like. You'll get busy, you'll get tired, you'll get too many emails, you'll be invited to too many meetings that should have been emails. You'll have to pay full price for things because the photo on your Dragon card becomes a stretch. Let's be honest, we all used our student ID longer than we needed to. And then there are challenges that you won't see coming, what I call the unknown unknowns. And the best way to tackle these unknown unknowns are threefold: your knowledge, your community, and your toolkit. First, the knowledge. This is the knowledge that you've gained here at Drexel. You read your textbooks, you did the homework, you've done the exercises, and that is the solid foundation upon which you stand. The second way to tackle the unknown unknowns is through your community. The same community that is here today, that would have sat here in the rain if it was raining today. And it could be your fellow classmates, your future coworkers, your family by blood, your family by choice, like your mentors. And big shout out to my mentor, Sasha Friedman, and Moon Choi that got me here today, my community. Because your community helped to provide that rocket fuel, that extra bit of food so you can study late for that exam, or that extra bit of comfort when you had that grade where you thought you could have done better, for that tough love when you need it. They are going to be your grounding in the future. Then the third and very important way to tackle the unknown unknowns is your toolkit. It's when you do everything right, yet your project gets canceled. And you have to be agile, scoping out the landscape to see where and how to pivot to a different approach, to a different way of communicating, a different customer that may need the same skill sets, but applied to a completely different industry. You may not remember an exact definition or an equation, but you'll remember that Drexel taught you how to tackle the problems and how to tackle the challenges. I guarantee you that most of the challenges that you'll face will be shaped by what you learned directly in the classroom and what you learned indirectly, what you learned in the class and between the classes. So you may be asking yourself, am I ready? Why, yes. Yes, you are. You're ready because of your curiosity. Curiosity is what got you here. Not certainty, not perfection, not having it all figured out. Curiosity is what allowed you to ask the right questions and dig deeper into the heart of the problem. You're here because of your ingenuity to tackle a problem and really dissect it and search for inventive solutions. You're ready because of your ability to find your community and help tackle the problem with many minds. So instead of asking yourself, am I ready? I invite you to ask yourself, am I still curious? Am I still ingenious? Do I have my squad? And then there's your next finish line. What does that look like for you? Norman Vincent Pearl once famously said, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. And he's technically correct, but to be honest, this saying always bothered me because the moon is roughly 239,000 miles away from us, and the closest star, Proxima Centauri, is about 25 trillion miles. So the moon is far closer. So instead, I would like to invite you to aim for the stars, and who knows, someone here may be the next person to miss and land on the actual moon. What I didn't realize until recently is that when you launch from Drexel, you're on a trajectory. And if there's anything that we know about space exploration, is that trajectories are constantly adjusted. You don't launch a mission and hope for the best. We course correct, we adapt, we respond to new data. And sometimes things go off script, the unknown unknowns. So if life doesn't go exactly to plan, congratulations, you are operating exactly as designed. You are a generation that has already navigated unprecedented change. You learned, you adapted, you were ingenious, and persevered. You've watched industries evolve in real time, and you're now positioned to help shape it. And as you do, never lose your sense of humanity. As much as I talk about science, technology, discovery, none of it matters if we forget how to treat one another. At the end of the day, we are all sharing this singular speck of rock surrounded by a thin, fragile envelope of breathable atmosphere that is hurling through the vacuum death pit of space together. And last time I checked, we are still the only confirmed life forms in the universe. And that means that we are all distinctively extraordinary. And how we show up for each other truly matters. So here I am on my latest flyby of Drexel, a galactic body formed by a collection of bright stars before me today. As you venture out in your journey, find ways to share your knowledge and wisdom to help make this world a better place. Your future is bright, and filled with many celebrations at many finish lines. And no matter how much grease or Crisco that is thrown your way, may it not work against you in your ascent. And may you instead leverage the laws of physics to work that grease in your favor and climb the proverbial pole of victory straight to the top. Congratulations, class of 2026. Thank you.